So I'm having a chat with Sarah Brown. How are you?
I'm really great, Ian. I'm living my my best life, as my nieces and nephews, I hear them saying all the time, Auntie, I'm living my best life. And I have to say, I'm living my best life right now. I'm great.
Good. Good. That's great to hear. And I'm sure one of the things that's helping with that is your debut single is out called I'm On My Way. What can you tell us about the track?
What I can tell you about the track, it is an uplifting track. It's a track that was written by Mahalia Jackson herself. And not a great deal of fuss has been made about this track. But the very first time I heard it, when thinking about tracks to put together for this project, I thought, this is fun. And I wanted to show people and introduce people who didn't know anything about Mahalia Jackson. I wanted to show them the side of her that I see, which I think is fun and sassy. And this track does that really well. It's got a kind of Cubanese tango thing going on, and it's just fun. It's toe tapping. You've got Tom Wheatley on upright bass, Colin Good on piano, phenomenal jazz pianist. I met him whilst working for the Roxy Reunion Tour. He was the MD. And then you have another fierce, phenomenal demon on the organ, Luke Smith, absolutely brilliant. And then you've got Jerome Brown on drums, on jazz drums. It's a fantastic lineup, and I think our rendition of this track is fantastic. I chose it because I'm on my way. I am on my way. I've recently come out of a divorce, and it flattened me. I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm some iron woman. It absolutely floored me. But, I had to pick myself up, as we all have to, look myself in the mirror, put my big knickers on and say, come on, girl, you can do this, and that's what I've done. And I thought, this song is befitting. It's perfect. I am on my way. Whether my mother doesn't want to listen, my brother doesn't want to come, or whoever doesn't want to come along with me, I'm on my way. I'm going forward. And that's why I chose the track. It's a fantastic track.
Yeah, absolutely, and your rendition of it is fantastic too. And obviously, it's coming off. That's okay. It's coming off an album of yours called Sarah Brown Sings Mahalia Jackson. What can people expect to hear when the record's released?
People can expect to hear, as I said, more toe tapping stuff. Mahalia Jackson wasn't afraid to sing those hymns and, Amazing Grace, Abide With Me, all the great hymns. And she really, if you know anything about Mahalia Jackson, she really dragged it out and dragged out all the emotion out of you and lifted you and placed you in the universe, where you then thought, oh my God, what just happened to me? Good God, that's amazing. That's what she'd done. But if you're not that strong a listener, you would kind of think, oh, well, I don't want to listen to it anymore because it's quite heavy. But so what I've done, I've taken a load of songs that she has sung, and I've revamped them, and I've given them the kind of ragtime, early jazz, early blues touches. That's what I've done to them. So they're toe tapping. The upright bass is constantly driving forward, and you've got that boom, 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 boom. You've got that thing going on, and the tinkering of the piano. If you like that kind of ragtime tinkering thing, it's here in masses. So, what can you expect? You're going to expect, I would say to you, expect fun, expect laughter, expect to dance. That's what you're going to get from this little humble project, which is tributing Mahalia. Mahalia inspired me from a very young age, and as young as I can remember, I was singing along to her. And I know from reading about her that she also inspired greatly Elvis Presley. And I'm not surprised about that. I've taken my inspiration from Mahalia throughout my career. I've sang with the likes of Brian Ferry, Quincy Jones, Simply Red, Simple Minds, and they've all commented on my tone, on my voice, on my projection. And I've learned that through singing along with Mahalia from a young age.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
People, so to answer your question, what is it that people should expect? Expect more of the toe tapping. Expect more of, there are times where I go really slow. There's a great rendition of Summertime on this album, and there's another rendition of Trouble of the World, where I slow it down, and I don't apologize for trying to take the listener to a place of deep thought and reflection. Coming out of COVID, the pandemic years, 2 years down, I'm hoping that people will listen to this and be lifted. And for me, it's not time now for virtual reality. It's time for us to be honest. It's time for musicians to be real and honest and not apologize for wanting to express themselves from that place of true honesty. It isn't a perfect album, but I don't want it to be perfect. It's perfect within its imperfection. You will come away dancing. You will come away feeling a sense of reflection, and that is my intention.
Good. And I bet people can't wait to go and take a listen to it. Now, obviously, touching on Mahalia's music, it's obviously had an impact on you and your music in general. Has it impacted your sound and the way you develop your voice in what you've done over the years?
Absolutely. From a young age, sometimes I laugh at myself because I was singing along with, as I said, Mahalia at 6 years old, 7, 8, 9, 10. In Mahalia, there's a track on my album called Nobody Knows, and it's a spiritual. It's a proper spiritual song, and she sings it like nobody knows. That's kind of where it's going. Now, if you imagine a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9, 10, trying to sing Nobody Knows the Troubles I Feel. What the hell do I know about troubles? At 10 years old, at 8 years old. But, I was singing along with her. And to be honest with you, I have said this, and I'm not ashamed to say it. My family home was a little bit volatile. My dad was an angry man. And I found, I was a nervous child. I was very nervous, and I was always afraid that, what mood was Dad going to be in when he came home? Is he going to be hitting Mum tonight? Is he going to be hitting my eldest brother? He wasn't the happiest of men, and he was quite a bully, and he said things at times that were just not very nice. So it made for a very frightened Sarah. And so as I sang along to Mahalia Jackson at a very young age, I found that for me, I suspended that fear. And I was in a place of happiness. I was in a place of strength. I was in a timeless space. And so over the years, throughout my teens, 20s, 30s, I have always referred and gone back to Mahalia Jackson and listened to her. So in that sense, Mahalia has cultured my voice, and also the ladies at church. I was brought up going to church, and these big Rubenesque women would sing from their deepest souls. They would scream these hymns out along with the bass and the Hammond organ, the rhythm guitar, and the drum and brass even at times. These voices would sing and harmonize. And so I came through this vacuum of great singers, of expressive sounds. That's what I have come through. That's been my learning and stomping ground, along with then singing with the likes of Brian Ferry, the likes of Mick Hucknall, Jim Kerr, Quincy Jones, Stevie Wonder, Annie Lennox. I've been very lucky. I've been very, very lucky, and I have been able to just own my voice and now own it for what it is. I have an alto voice. I no longer am trying to screech my way through and trying to sound like a soprano. I'm an alto voice, and I'm really happy about that. I've accepted it, and that's why I'm delivering this little album as a gift to those people who know nothing about Mahalia. It's a great way to be introduced to her and just tap your feet, have fun, and I'm just sharing with everyone, really, a bit of my experience from being a child and who is it that has inspired me to share my vocals with the great giants that I have shared my vocals with. It's Mahalia Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely. And touching on those other names that you've performed with, been on stage with, what's it like being asked to perform with them and actually being on stage with such big names?
It is mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing. And I'm not a name dropper. I'm not showing off, but I pat myself on the back for completing this album because these greats that I've worked with, that I've named, Mick, they've, especially Jim Kerr, he's my family. I work with Simple Minds. We're going out on tour starting from March. I'm looking forward to it. Jim has said to me over the years, Sarah, come on. Come on. I sang at Jim's dad's funeral. His dad really loved my voice and always said, Sarah, you remind me of Mahalia Jackson, and told his son, Jim, that I want Sarah to sing at my funeral. And I did sing at his funeral. I sang Oh Danny Boy. It was a privilege. It was an honor. And Jim, going back to your question, Jim has never stopped encouraging me. Jim and Charlie, they're like, Sarah, come on. You've got to do this. Come on. Let us hear you. Share it. Stop being a chicken. You've got to do it. Do it. So they've been amazing to me, being on stage with these giants, I call them, working with Brian Ferry for the Roxy reunion tour. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I knew that I was on stage with giants, and I knew that it was a privilege. I knew that, this only happens to a few people, and I was blessed. I have been lucky to be on stage with them because I've learned a lot. I've owned in my craft, and I'm very lucky. I cried during the Roxy Music tour most days because I couldn't believe it. I was pinching myself and saying, God, is this me, a humble girl from Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire, on stage with Brian Ferry, Phil Manzanera, Andy Mackay? Are you mad? I was the luckiest woman in the world. I was the most envied, and and it's all because of my voice. My voice won me that position, and I tribute that to Mahalia Jackson. What was it like singing with Mick Hucknall? Phenomenal. He sings like Aretha. There were times I was on stage with him and thinking, bloody hell, this man sings like Aretha Franklin. And then there are other times he sounds like Frank Sinatra. And I just think, oh my, there was one time we were going on stage. We were at the Royal Albert Hall, and Mick said to me, Sarah, what's the matter? I said, I'm so nervous. I'm really nervous because from the sound check, the way that the Royal Albert Hall is staged, it's very intimate. And it just felt like everyone was looking at me, and not like I was in a fishbowl. And I said this to him, and he said, "Come on, don't be stupid. You can do this. We can do this. This is what we were born to do." And I thought, my God, that's why he is where he's at, and I'm where I'm at, because it's just, they're giants. He walks out on that stage looking like a peacock, sounding like a god, and he just wasn't fazed. He wasn't fazed, and they are not fazed, and that's what I've learned. I'm a girl that has been fazed by fear. I was brought up, as I said, in a volatile home, and I'm going to be honest with you, I am fazed a lot of the time. I often don't believe that this is happening to me, and I hear that imposter voice in my head saying, you can't do this. And I have learned They have encouraged me. These great guys and women have encouraged me to do this album. And I've cried whilst doing it. I've laughed whilst doing it. But I've learned that I've got to be my biggest fan. I have got to be my biggest investor. That's what working with these giants have taught me. They believe in themselves. When the chips are down, they get out on stage and they do what they do well. And that's all I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to share with everyone my inspiration. My biggest inspiration is Mahalia Jackson. And I've managed to muster up the guts to front it. And I hope that people will take it for what it is and learn something about Mahalia and just learn something about Sarah Brown and just appreciate the kind of ragtime, blues, jazz feel that this album has going on for it.
Excellent. Fantastic. Well, Sarah, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you.
Thank you.